Republic outpost overrun. The Jedi have lost all contact with a clone security force stationed on the bleak, snow-covered planet of Orto Plutonia. Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker, accompanied by dignitaries from the nearby moon of Pantora, are sent to investigate the disappearance of the clone troopers on the desolate and forbidding landscape.
Oh, greetings, bucketheads. Mevar Tigar. Question mark? Welcome to the 40th bone-chillingly cold episode of Mando Vision, Nargai Tom. And thank you so much for checking out this small, independent Star Wars podcast. Remember, the best way to reach out to this podcast is via social media. We are at Mando_Vision on Twitter and Instagram. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and share this show with all the other Mandalorians in your covert. And if possible or so inclined, and listening on Apple Podcasts, please give us those sweet 5-star reviews. They really help small independent podcasts like us get a little extra attention, stand out, and not get lost in the shuffle of all that content that is available to you guys. We think we're doing a pretty darn fun show, and we want to make sure that as many ears are checking it out as possible. And in doing so, we are on a million platforms. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Pandora. We got Amazon Music and Audible, I believe. Holy smokes, just so many. It's an ever-growing list. We're just trying to get onto more and more things, as many as possible, so people continue to check out the show. All right, so you may have noticed, I mentioned it in last episode's notes, but I made a bit of a mistake. The last episode I introduced as the 40th episode, and it is not. Last week was episode 39. It was numbered correctly. I just misspoke, and well, that's on me. So this is the actual 40th episode of Mandovision. So I hope you'll excuse me. I was an English major, not a math major, so counting not my speciality. Obi-Wan claims that Sith Lords are their speciality, even though there's a fair amount of them getting their butts whipped by them, but still, math, not my speciality. Anyways, how is everyone doing? I hope this wonderful audience is doing well, staying safe, doing the right things, treating others the right way, and we're just trying to have some fun in this world that's just got so many problems, and we're not going to go into that too much today, but it's a crazy world, and we're just going to live in our little Star Wars galaxy for 30 minutes or so and try to bring a smile to everyone's faces. I am happy to report that in the last episode that we recorded, I was recording that show in quite a bit of pain. I didn't mention anything about it at the time because at the time I was very concerned that it was going to be something significantly very significant, I guess is the best way to put it. I was concerned I was going to have to go to a doctor and get x-rays and MRIs and all that stuff. But a day off on Sunday and a lot of rest and ice and all that. It seems that I'm doing much better. I've rounded the corner here. Hopefully, we'll see. It looks like we're on the upswing for improvement and getting my health back on track, which is nice because it's fun to record this podcast when I'm not in immense amounts of pain. Just the way I like to do my podcast. I don't sit on a bed of nails or any of that stuff when I'm doing the shows. I like comfort. I like feeling good while I'm doing the shows. And luckily, we seem to be back on track with that. So that all being said, let's get into our episode. We're here for Season 1, Episode 15, Trespass. It originally aired January 30th, 2009. We have a pretty good, I think it's a pretty good plot here. So, while investigating the disappearance of a clone security force, Anakin and Obi-Wan get caught in the middle of a conflict between the territorial inhabitants of a desolate ice world and the greedy representatives of a nearby moon. Ooh, intrigue. This is directed by Brian Callen O'Connell, written by Stephen Melching, Henry Gilroy, and Scott Murphy. But before we go any further, we have to do the most important aspect of the show. We have to do, like I said, like I've said before, I don't even know why you take them off. Just sleep with it on, all right? That way you don't have to do this every time I say it. But it's time. Strap on your buckets. Let's go.
Why would the Republic want it out first? We're out here. The chairman of Auto Plutonium requested it, but why?
General Kenobi.
Chairman Cho, Senator Chuchi, I suggest you wait here until we can secure the area.
I respect your judgment, General Kenobi, but I will go where I choose. This is sovereign Pantora territory.
I thought this planet was uninhabited, and therefore it's not aligned.
Our moon of Pantora is the only civilization in this system. I'm the one who asked the Senate to protect this planet. This wasteland belongs to us.
With all due respect, Chairman, this is for the Senate to decide, not us.
But the Jedi report to the Senate, which is Senator Chuchi of Pantora.
Technically speaking, Master Jedi, the chairman is correct. Since the planet is uninhabited, the moon of Pantora reserves the right to continue as its protectorate.
Point taken, Senator. Anakin, stay here with the Senator and the droids while we secure the base.
All right, now we're ready to get things going. A little bit of the story laid out right there at the very beginning of this episode. Before we dive into things, of course, we have to get to our cast for the show. We talked about the director, Brian Callen O'Connell returns, again, written by Stephen Melching, Henry Gilroy, and Scott Murphy. Originally aired January 30th, 2009. This is Trespass. Our main principal cast for this week's episode, James Arnold Taylor returns as Obi-Wan Kenobi and the Pantoran Assembly representative. We have Matt Lanter as Anakin Skywalker. Brian George joins the show this week as Chairman Chi-Chu. Jennifer Hale returns, this time as Ryo Chuchi, the senator, the Pantoran representative in the Senate. D. Bradley Baker once again as the Clone Troopers, Captain Rex, and Tyson, the TALZ that we'll meet later. We'll talk more about the TALZ shortly. Anthony Daniels is back as C-3PO. Tom Kane as the narrator. Matthew Wood as the battle droids, and Robin Atkin Downs as the Pantoran Guard. So this week's show, we have something, it's a little different. It's different, but it's familiar, very familiar to last week's episode. Let's go ahead and talk about our Jedi fortune cookie. Arrogance diminishes wisdom. And arrogance is definitely what's going on here with the Supreme Chairman of the Pantorans. You heard it in his voice right there. I go where I please. This is my moon. We're doing things my way. Blah, 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 blah. We talked a little bit last week on last week's show, the Defenders of Peace episode, about how there is a bit of imperialism and colonialism in effect with the way Lockdurd, the Nemoidian, played by George Takei, comes to that moon and just sort of does what he wants to do. It's much more prevalent in this particular episode, as the Pantorans are claiming this moon as their territory, despite the fact that it seems very much that the Supreme Chairman is aware of the presence of the TALZ, and he doesn't care. And it seems like he's very much manipulating the Republic into removing the TALZ for him and the rest of the Pantorans. Now, let's talk about the TALZ a little bit here. You may recognize the TALZ. We saw them. We were first introduced to a TALZ in Episode 4 in the Cantina scene, where we were introduced to so many of the classic alien creatures of the Star Wars galaxy. The TALZ that was in Episode 4, he had a name. It's Muftak. Yeah. That's our first time meeting the TALZ, but this time we get to see something really neat in this episode is we get to see more about what the TALZ are all about, who they are as a species, a little bit about their culture. They come off a little bit as sort of like primitives in a sense. They have a very unique culture, but they don't seem technologically advanced, which makes you wonder how Muftak got to the Cantina in Mos Eisley on Tatooine. But that doesn't mean, again, we don't know for sure. We shouldn't say that the TALZ are a primitive species by any means, even though the Pantorans consider them nothing but savages. That doesn't necessarily mean that the TALZ don't know anything about technology. Now, as we've learned through Chewbacca, just because the Wookiees live in trees doesn't mean they aren't a technologically advanced species. So judging the TALZ is a mistake, and it's one that the Pantoran Supreme Chairman will pay for in underestimating the TALZ and treating them simply as savages. So you get a little bit of that imperialism, that colonialism theme, again, much more strong in this episode, particularly with the way he is trying to, the Supreme Chairman is trying to get the Republic and get the Jedi to remove the TALZ from this moon. And yeah, he's not a nice guy. I think we know that right off the bat. He's not a nice guy. Again, Chi-Chu is the Supreme Chairman, and Ryo Chu-Chi is the senator, and she is very much bullied by the chairman. And she's, until later in this episode, where she's forced to stand on her own 2 feet and make the right decision. And Obi-Wan is the one who props her up to make that right decision. And yeah, I did really enjoy this episode because there's a lot to go on, and I like it when they get a little bit of a again, some complex moral issues. A little bit of a morality story. Ethics and doing the right thing in the face of punishment from your superiors. It's stuff like that. I really enjoyed it. Something I wanted to mention about this episode before we get too far. There have been a few other episodes earlier in the run, but this episode, Trespass, and our next episode coming up, which is The Hidden Enemy, these are episodes that are supposed to remind us that Season 1 in particular of the Clone Wars is not being told in a chronological order. It's not a linear story. We're kind of bouncing around a little bit in the timeline. This episode, Trespass, and our next show for The Hidden Enemy, there are shows that probably take place before the events of Clone Wars the movie, because of there not being an Ahsoka, there not being any reference to Anakin having a Padawan. This is just the Clone Wars are happening, and that was sort of the plan of the Season 1 of the show, was like they're just going to tell tales from the Clone Wars. There wasn't the overarching storylines in place just yet. We're being introduced to things. We're being introduced to the concepts of what this show will become. But the season-long arcs, that was to come next year. That next season takes a bit more of a linear thing. And I believe if there is any episodes that are sort of before other events, I think it's noted in the episodes. So it's very much more clear how the stories are going to progress in the timeline. So this is an episode that probably takes place before the movie. Same thing with next week's show. And we'll talk about that next week too, as a bit of a reminder that this is probably before Ahsoka was introduced. I'd like the opening of this episode. I am a big fan of the ice planets, the snow planets of the Star Wars galaxy. So it was a lot of fun to see something that was reminiscent of Hoth. And I've talked a little bit about it in past episodes of the podcast, not specifically the Clone Wars episodes, but I think when I did the Holocron episode, I had my brother on, and we talked about. We grew up on the East Coast, and so we had snowstorms and blizzards and things of that nature. And when we were young kids, like, that was our time to go outside and play Star Wars and pretend we were on Hoth. And we had a blast doing that. It was one of our favorite things to do. We loved it when it snowed because it meant it was time to go to Hoth. And it was time to find something to pretend was a tauntaun and to slice it open and all that good stuff, and have lightsaber battles out on the snowbanks that were pushed there by the snow plows, as they're clearing the streets and those giant banks form up. We lived on a bit of a curve, so the banks would be huge because the snow plows would push them all from each direction. They'd come down and just kind of pile the snow up. So we had these massive mounds of snow to play on and to have our lightsaber duels on. So Hoth has a particular place in my heart. It is a fun place to go for me. So I love it, seeing these ice planets. And a lot of the story behind the scenes for this episode is that the planet here, I've already forgotten the name of it. So let me get that real quick here, because it is kind of an important name of the show, of the episode, I should say. Yeah, the ice planet Orto Plutonia, based on early designs by Ralph McQuarrie. Which, in case you don't know, or in case you've forgotten, Ralph McQuarrie designed so much. His art, his concept art, designed so much of the Star Wars galaxy, and still informs the look of so much of the Star Wars galaxy, even to this day, long after his passing. And obviously you will also note that as our heroes arrive on the clone trooper transport, the gear worn by Obi-Wan, the gear worn by Anakin, very reminiscent of the gear that you see Rebel forces wearing on Hoth. Anakin's in particular, is very much styled after what Han Solo wore. So in a way, Obi-Wan and Anakin's gear is sort of the precursor to what Han and Luke and the rest of the rebellion will wear on Hoth before Imperial forces show up to kick them off the planet. All right, so Anakin and Obi-Wan go to open up the Republic base that's within this beautiful like ice-like tower. Shout out to the Republic's Corps of Engineers for doing a really wonderful job building some of these bases. I mean, they're just put in such impressive places, like you would have no idea. As they open up the base, they go inside and they find clone trooper helmets on pikes, but not just clone trooper helmets on pikes. You also see battle droid heads on the pikes as well, and you begin to wonder what the heck is going on here. Let's listen in as Obi-Wan finds somewhat of a clue. Here we go.
685 to command. There are too many of them. They've overrun the base. We need reinforcements.
What was that? Whatever it was, it's a good warrior.
The droid's log indicates they were investigating the southern canyon.
Sounds like a good place to start.
All right. So the scene after that is between Supreme Chairman Chi-Chu and Senator Chu-Chi as they sort of discuss what's going on. And again, Chi-Chu sort of bullies... I'm sorry, Chi-Cho, rather, bullies Chi-Chi. Chu-Chi. Oh, my God. I'm so bad with these names. I apologize. The Supreme Chairman is bullying the Senator, basically, and attempting to make her feel like she's not doing her duty as a Pantoran by supporting his narrative that it's imperative that whoever's killed these clones must be dealt with swiftly, and she seems to think that there is more going on here, but is rather intimidated and again sort of bullied by the chairman into not really expressing those beliefs too loudly for anyone else to hear her. So it's at this point that Anakin and Obi-Wan go to that southern canyon area that the droids are investigating, and that's where they encounter the TALZ for the first time. And it is a peaceful time. They get to know each other. They're all hanging out. Everyone is having a lovely, lovely time. It is later on. And actually, it's during this point they learn how to communicate with the TALZ as well. And it's through drawings that Anakin is the one to kind of crack that code. And it is really... I don't know. I think it's neat when... Maybe it's just because I believe this. Get to know people before you decide they're the enemy. But and that seems to be very much the Jedi way. But again, the Pantorans, the Supreme Chairman in particular, has an agenda, and it is he seems to be very much aware of the TALZ on this planet, and he is using the Republic and the Separatists and the Clone Wars in general as an excuse to use these forces to eliminate the TALZ instead of them doing it themselves. Let's hear as Obi-Wan gets back and reports his finding to the chairman, and the chairman's reaction. Yeah, it's not nice.
What did you find?
It seems we've stumbled onto an inhabited planet.
Impossible. Our explorers have spent much time here over the long history of Pantora. No one lives here. They are trespassers.
With respect, Chairman Cho, these creatures, the TALZ, aren't advanced enough to master space travel. I think they may have been here longer than Pantora.
Whoever they are, they belong to us. This whole system belongs to us.
Your Majesty, if there are life forms here, then the Senate must decide jurisdiction.
They are savages. Look at what they've done. They've slaughtered your troops.
They only want to be left alone. The droids attacked them, and I'm afraid our outpost got caught in the middle.
They must be subdued. They're dangerous. Captain Rex, prepare your troops for battle.
We promised their chief there would be no retaliation.
We've arranged a meeting between their High Council and you and the Senator. They want peace.
We can't send troopers. They'll think we lied.
These creatures are little more than animals. You can't lie to an animal. They can't be trusted.
But Your Majesty...
No. It is obvious these creatures are not covered by the Convention of Civilized Systems. The Jedi Council has no say in the matter.
If the Jedi are able to communicate with them, their status is in doubt.
Do you stand against your chairman, Senator?
Of course not, Your Majesty.
If we are going to meet with Tai Sen and his council at the arranged time, we will have to leave now.
There you go. A lot of information, a lot of things happening there. Bottom line, the Pantoran chairman is a dick. He has no respect. I apologize. Is that word going too far? What did I kind of cross a line in keeping the show clean? Maybe. I apologize. Perhaps I did go too far on that one. But he's not a nice guy. Gosh darn it. Gosh darn it. God dang. Not a nice guy. Again, this the metaphor here is clear for all of us from the North America, the indigenous people and the way that they were treated and persecuted and slaughtered by invaders to their land, basically the British, the English, the French, whoever it was who came to this country, the Spanish, everyone from Europe had a part in committing the genocide to the indigenous peoples of the United States before it was the United States, and that's clearly the metaphor they're going for here. It's nice to see the Jedi trying to stick up for them and saying, like, these are not savages. They are a people. They are a civilization. They are a society, and they deserve to be treated as such. The part that really, I got so angry when the Pantoran chairman tries to order Captain Rex to ready the weapons, like he's got some kind of control over the army, over the Republic's army. It just, gosh, I wish Anakin had slapped him across the face at that point. But Anakin, surprisingly restrained from this episode. In this episode, I don't have much to say. You see Senator Chuchi trying to explain to the chairman the wrongness of this path that he's on, of his beliefs in this, and how it's not the right course of action by any means. But again, the chairman is a bully. He has his agenda. He has his beliefs, no matter how wrong they are, and he is obviously a very stubborn man, a willful man who will not have his mind changed by anybody, no matter how strong the case against him. And that is a gosh darn shame, isn't it? Because there are just far too many people like that in this world, and we can probably point to a lot of them on the news. They all have TV access, and they're all in front of TV cameras constantly, and we can point to them and be like, "You're wrong. You are wrong." All right, so let's hear the negotiations now as Anakin and Obi-Wan return with the Supreme Chairman, Senator Chuchi. They bring C-3PO for translator because the TALZ not so good speaking the basic. And remember the leader of the TALZ is Tai Sen. So here we go. Let's play this scene as things fall apart rather quickly for any sort of truce between the TALZ and the Pantorans.
Kapuka ping chiki ba.
These savages have no rights here.
Chieftain Tai Sen welcomes you to his home and hopes you come in peace. He wishes to be good neighbors, but he does not wish you to remain on his planet.
Listen, droid. Translate everything I say, and exactly as I say it.
Would you like me to represent Pantora in this matter?
Not on your life, Senator. There will be no diplomacy this time. Listen here, you savage. This world belongs to the moon of Pantora. And as the Supreme Chairman and exalted ruler of Pantora, you will not command me to leave this planet or do anything else.
Your Majesty, we can't.
Droid, tell him.
Dear.
I recommend a less confrontational discussion. The TALZ are easily provoked.
That didn't go over very well.
Chairman, I promised the TALZ that we would leave them in peace.
This is now an internal affair of Pantora.
The great Tai Sen, son of suns, asks again that you leave or it will mean war.
Then war it is.
War, Kichi.
All right, so the TALZ walk away here. Something interesting to note here. C-3PO refers to Tyson as the son of sons. That's an interesting piece of dialogue because if you go back into some of the, I'm not sure if it's even still published, but there's an old book, the annotated screenplay of Star Wars, and so I think everyone knows that Lucas's first drafts for Star Wars are very, very different from what the final product turned out to be. And in some of those earlier drafts, there is a reference to the son of sons, and it's SONS, son of SUNS, sons. So son of sons. And a lot of people believe that sort of morphed into the prophecy of Skywalker in later drafts, in closer drafts to what we ended up seeing on the screen, but it never really it never officially made the jump into any of the canon that we know from the films that we know them, especially as they are as they are known to us now, I should say. That piece of dialogue, that piece of mysticism or prophecy, made it not into the final drafts of Star Wars. And that was an awkward way to say that, but I think you know what I'm trying to say at this point. So negotiations have failed. The Jedi, despite the trying to get the Pantoran Supreme Chairman to stop being such a butt, it didn't go over too well. And now the Pantorans will be at war with the TALZ. And the TALZ, as we saw from a little bit of that, we saw the aftermath of what they did to the clones and to the Separatist battle droids. And as Obi-Wan says, they are easily provoked, and they are a bit of a warrior species in several senses. I mean, they are armed. They may have, they may only hold spears, but they are quite deadly with those spears, as the Pantorans will soon learn, because despite the Pantorans' technological advantage, they are not the warriors that the TALZ are. That's going to be coming to the forefront right here pretty darn shortly. All right, we're going to get into another piece of dialogue here real quick, because Anakin has to dispatch Rex and the clones to kind of keep the Pantoran chairman safe, despite the fact that he is very actively engaging himself in a war now that shouldn't be. But this scene also helps give us an exit strategy for this conflict, as Obi-Wan and Anakin speak to Senator Chuchi and try to persuade her to go around the chairman, to intervene and bring this to an end by other means. And here, let's go ahead and play that bit.
What's up, General?
You're going to have to stay with the chairman until we can work things out. Protect him at all costs.
Mount up! We're moving out!
Senator, you know a preemptive strike is illegal. Isn't there anything you can do to stop him?
I'm afraid not. He has proclaimed this conflict an internal affair.
You could petition the Jedi Council for an intervention.
You mean without his authorization?
There must be someone on your moon who could approve it.
The Speaker of the Assembly. He has the power.
Let's get back to the base. The storm is letting up. Maybe we can get a transmission through.
Okay. So now we have the speeders racing towards getting ready to mount an attack, basically. The clones are there, but they're under orders for protection only. They're not there to attack the TALZ. But again, this is probably the one part of the episode that I don't know if I quite understand. I think at this point, Republic forces should have been pulled back, and they shouldn't be under any obligation to be part of these attacks against the TALZ. Anakin orders him to orders Rex and the clones to protect the chairman, but I don't think they should be there at all. At this point, the chairman has declared it an internal matter. The Republic needs to pull back. They shouldn't be here at all, in my opinion. Now, maybe I am, I am not a member of the Galactic Senate. I have no say in galactic policy. But that is sort of my read on the situation, and I'm curious if you think the same thing, or if I'm just being a kook and being a little silly. Now, obviously, for the action aspect of the show, it's probably best that the clones are there because they can get more involved in things. But Anakin, in my opinion, puts them in a dicey position by putting them on this sort of protection duty. And again, if the TALZ are attacking them, how are they supposed to do anything? And I do believe that part of being in this protection order means they still have to fire on the TALZ, which seems like the Republic wants nothing to do with this conflict. So I don't understand the inclusion of the clones in this scene. But it leads to a good battle sequence, and we see the tenacity of the TALZ, the cunningness of them as warriors, as a mount this ambush, as they spring from the snow to attack the Pandorans and the clones. It's a really neat scene. The Pantoran guards are killed. Rex ends up rescuing the Supreme Chairman. But it's just wild that the clones are involved in this to me. I really feel like Anakin and Obi-Wan should have held their forces back and not gotten them involved in this any further. The only thing I can think of maybe is that the presence of the clones would deter the TALZ, but clearly that's not the case. All right, so Senator Chuchi gets permission from another member of the Pantoran electorate or council or whatever it is that helps member of their governing body to sort of do an end around on the chairman here to end this conflict with the TALZ. So now Chuchi has to talk to Obi-Wan and Anakin about her plan, and they have to give some information. Let's go ahead and play the scene here. I like this because this is sort of the scene that forces Chuchi to not like grow up. I mean, obviously she is a young senator, but she has to be able to stand up and represent her people without fear of the bullying of the chairman, and to do the right thing on her own and not get the Jedi or the Republic to do it for her. So I like this scene. Let's go ahead and play it.
Senator, now that you have the authority, how do you plan on making peace with the TALZ?
Actually, Master Jedi, since you are far more experienced, I was hoping you could negotiate on Pantora's behalf.
I'm afraid that's not possible, Senator.
But I don't understand. The Jedi serve the Senate. I must order you to...
Senator, it is your people the TALZ are at war with. If the violence is to stop, it is you who must represent your people.
Go snap! And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and that scene as well, where she has to go ahead and deliver on this. Actually, before Chuchi sues for peace, let's hear her final her final engagement with the Supreme Chairman before he succumbs to the injuries he sustained by the TALZ. The TALZ are on the verge of overrunning the remaining clone troopers. Now they are reinforced, granted, at this point. More Republic forces have arrived, but again, the Republic shouldn't have been involved in this at the very beginning. But let's hear this chat between the Supreme Chairman and the Senator for the Pantoran people.
Chairman, can you hear me?
Senator, good. You must avenge me. As my final command, as chairman of Pantora, I order you to destroy the TALZ.
I'm afraid I cannot do that, Chairman. The Pantoran Assembly has called you out of order. I am to negotiate peace.
No. Impossible. Peace. Never. I died for our people.
And he died for the people.
Senator, now is the time.
So it's at this point
Protocol droid, come with me.
3PO, get going.
Yes, Master Anning.
All right, Chuchi is heading out to meet with the TALZ with Tyson. She takes a pike. She takes the helmet that the Supreme Chairman wore, and now she will attempt to sue for peace with the TALZ. Or, well, as the TALZ may see it, prolong the war. We'll see. Tyson descends from his giant beastly snow creature, which is really cool looking, by the way.
Translate for me.
Here we go.
Yes, mistress.
Plants the
To
pike in the
die for
ground.
one's people is a great sacrifice. To live for one's people, an even greater sacrifice.
Chum chala mobi chofi. Chum chali yubi chofi che.
I choose to live for my people. What do you choose?
Me chala cho. So neutrality. He chooses to live as well.
We will leave Auto Plutonia under the watchful eyes of the TALZ from this day forth, and recognize your sovereignty as a free and equal people.
Even the snow creatures bow. Like, these little beasts they're riding on are so cool looking. Great visual with those ones. Really dig that. Look, they're fierce looking too, but well trained apparently. Let's go ahead and wrap up the episode. We're gonna play the last bit of the episode, the little final conversation here. Enjoy.
Well done, Senator.
Yes. Most impressive.
Thank you, Mr. Jedi.
Now that you have created peace between your people and the TALZ, remember one crucial thing.
Yes, Master Kenobi?
Make it last, Senator. Make it last. And be an example to others, so not only this war, but every war waged may come to an end as well.
I will. I promise you.
Alright, and that's our episode. Trespass, Season 1, Episode 15. They leave Alto Plutonia... Arto? I already messed it up again. But that is how this one closes out. I really enjoy this episode. I think it's a really strong episode. I like a lot of the themes in the episode. And we've already talked about it, so I don't need to hammer them home again. I give it a strong 7.5. 7.5, almost an 8. I'd almost go as far as 8. We don't do 7.6, 7.7s or anything like that, but it's darn close to an 8 in my opinion. It's a really strong episode. Again, the themes, the action's really good. The story of a native inhabitant being attacked by outside forces. Again, I enjoy a good metaphor, and this isn't like a heavy-handed. I didn't find this to be a heavy-handed one, a beat you over the head kind of morality tale, anything like that. I like the Republic's stance and the refusal to be the negotiators for peace after. Well, again, that's probably the one flaw in the story is like the Republic's sort of like, we can do this, but we can't do this. Yet they're engaging their troops in the conflict in order to protect the chairman, and that seemed like. To me, that seemed like a misstep in the story. In that Republic forces should have been held back completely, but it's a small nitpick. And again, I'm not the one setting galactic policy, so what do I know? It could be the way things work in the Republic. So again, that's why I'm going to hold it. I'm going to hold it at a 7.5. But a strong episode. Trespass, Season 1, Episode 15. Trespass. Pretty good stuff on this one. Now, next week is an episode I'm really looking forward to talking about. This is the Hidden Enemy one. Because, well, this is, the Hidden Enemy. I think you can figure out kind of where we're going. I'm not going to get too spoilery here in case you haven't watched it just yet. But, we're talking about a treason within the ranks of the clones. And the way that's kind of explored and the way that's kind of handled. And it's an interesting one for sure, and one I'm really looking forward to chatting with everyone about next time. And again, we're cranking out 2 episodes a week, minimum, until May 4th when we get the Bad Batch. And then, I may end up having to take a day off of work so that I can cover the Bad Batch before. I gotta look at my work schedule and see if I can pull that off. Maybe get a day off of work so we can cover the Bad Batch. And a bunch of other Star Wars news, because it's May the 4th. You have to know there's going to be a ton of Star Wars stuff coming out as far as news goes, breaking and otherwise. Maybe we'll get announcements about new films, maybe announcements about new shows. Who knows? There's a lot to look forward to. May the 4th. It's basically a holiday for Star Wars fans, and I couldn't be more excited for the debut of the Bad Batch, and hopefully engaging with a lot of you fine folks on the social media on May 4th. Now, you can hit me up before that too, but let's all get on social media and just have a jolly good freaking time because it's Star Wars and that's what brings us all together. Oh, quick note about the episode, by the way, in case you didn't hear it. Anakin saying most impressive. one of the times he gets to say it before he dons the helmet. So again, most impressive has been dropped a few times in the series thus far, but I believe this is the first time Anakin has said it. So note that for the record. Put it in the books, pal. All right, let's close out the show. We got 40 minutes out of this episode, and that's saying something. A lot going on in this one. So thank you all so much for listening to MandoVision. Remember, the best way to follow us on social media. Well, excuse me, but the best way to reach out to us is at social media. At Mando_Vision, Twitter and Instagram. If those formats don't work for you, email the show, mandovisiontom@gmail.com. That's the email letters for the show. And make sure, if you can, make sure you're liking, subscribing, sharing the show with all your friends, family, all the Mandos you know in your life, all the TALZ that you know that are living on that ice planet. They need entertainment too. Gosh darn it! So recommend them a good podcast that was very pro TALZ. We are pro TALZ in this episode, so they can listen and enjoy and have a good darn time, a darn good time even, if you want to go and say it in the correct order. So yes. Thank you so much for listening. What else I got to say? That's probably it. If you know the routine by now, and yeah, this is the end of the show. That's just keep your buckets on until the next episode. Why bother taking them off? It's no fun to take them off. You got the right mouth gear. You can get into all the stores. You're wearing a mask. Your droplets are contained. You can go out. You can go to the grocery store. You can go to the mall. You can probably go to a restaurant. You just gotta be sneaky the way you eat it with the helmet on. You know how it goes. Bucket maintenance is very important. You don't want to get like soup stuck in your bucket. That's no good. Dried, crusty soup, hard to get out of the filters. All right, let's wrap it up. Let's get out of here before I say something else completely ridiculous. Again, I thank you so much for listening to this show. I love making this show, and I'm so happy that people are downloading, listening, and hopefully enjoying the show. All right, let's get out of here. We'll be back very, very soon with episode 16 of season 1 of the Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Can't wait. It's going to be rad. And, hey, we can only close out the show one way. And this is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.